I am Reed, I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. All right, let's talk about something that might ruffle some feathers online. You know how every other video on the internet is telling you to quit your job, start a business, be your own boss, escape the rat race, all that stuff. And look, I get it, I really do. The idea of waking up whenever you want, working from a beach somewhere, making unlimited money, never having to answer to anyone. It sounds amazing. It sounds like the dream. And I am not here to tell you that dream is wrong, but I am here to tell you the side of it that nobody really talks about because I lived it. I actually tried to build my own business when I was in college, and honestly, it didn't go the way I thought it would at all. Let me take you back a few years. I was sitting in a lecture hall, completely bored out of my mind, staring at the clock, thinking about how I didn't want to spend the rest of my life working for someone else. I had this vision of being free, being my own boss, making money on my own terms. That vision felt so real. So I decided to take action. I built an Instagram page based on my childhood hero. I was super passionate about it. I grew that page to over 20,000 followers, which back then felt like a huge deal. And then I took it a step further. I wrote a children's book from scratch, self-published it, and started selling it online. I remember holding that book in my hands for the first time and thinking, wow, I actually did this. I was a real business owner. And for a little while, it felt incredible. I got some sales, I got some attention. People were reaching out saying they loved the book. I felt like I was on my way to something big. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Once you start, you can just stop. To keep the business going, I had to pour in more time, more energy, more money. It wasn't a one and done thing. Every single day I had to create content, respond to messages, run Instagram ads, track analytics, figure out shipping and fulfillment. I was spending almost all the money I was making from my tech internship just to keep the ads running. My grades started slipping hard. I had less time for friends. I was stressed all the time. I was barely sleeping. I remember lying in bed at night feeling like I was drowning. And at some point I had to look in the mirror and ask myself, is this really the freedom I was chasing? Because it didn't feel free at all. It felt like I was working harder than ever for less stability and less peace of mind. And honestly, I was lonely. When you run a business by yourself, there is no one to share the load with, no team to lean on, no one to tell you it is going to be okay. You are just alone with all the pressure, so I made the decision to shut it down. It wasn't easy. I felt like a failure for a while. But looking back, it was one of the smartest things I ever did, because since 2018, I've been working a corporate 9 to 5 job. And you know what? It has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. Not because it is glamorous, it is not, but because it gave me space to grow, to learn, to build a real foundation for my life. So let me break down the dark side of starting a business that nobody talks about, and then what I've actually gained from working in corporate America. First, let us talk about the failure rate. And I am not trying to scare you, but the numbers are real and they matter according to data from the Small Business Administration. About 20% of new businesses fail within the first 2 years. That number jumps to 45% within 5 years and 65% within 10 years. Think about that for a second. Almost 2 out of 3 businesses don't make it past a decade. That is not a small risk. That is a huge gamble with your time, your money, and your mental health. And it is not because people aren't trying hard enough. It is because running a business is incredibly hard. You are fighting for every single customer, every dollar, every bit of traction, and the longer you go, the harder it gets to keep going. The competition does sleep. The market changes, your costs go up, it is a constant battle. Second, the hours are insane. When people say you work more for yourself than for anyone else, they not joking around. In the early days especially, you are putting in way more than the standard 40-hour work week. I am talking early mornings, late nights, weekends, holidays. You are doing everything. Sales, marketing, accounting, customer service, product development, shipping, legal stuff. There's no such thing as clocking out. Because if you stop, the business stops. And that pressure never really goes away. Even when you take a day off, your brain is still thinking about the business. It is what people call sweat equity, and it is real. It takes a toll on your body and your relationships. Third, and this one honestly hurts to talk about, the money is usually not what you think. People dream of quitting their job and immediately making 6 figures or more. Social media makes it look so easy. But the reality is very different for non-employer businesses, which are businesses without any paid employees. The average annual revenue is around $49,000. That is less than a lot of entry-level jobs, and these businesses make up about 80% of all small businesses. So most people running a business are not rolling in cash, they re-scraping by, hoping next month is better. Even for businesses with fewer than 20 employees, annual revenue typically ranges between $387,000 and $4.9 million. That sounds like a lot on paper, but remember you have to cover salaries, rent, insurance, taxes, software, equipment, and all your operating costs. And it can take years before you are actually paying yourself more than you make at a regular job. I was putting more money into my business than I was taking out. That is not a business, that is an expensive hobby. And that brings me to stability, or the total lack of it. When you run a business, your income is completely unpredictable. You might land a big client one month and feel on top of the world. Then the next month, nothing. You are scrambling to find work, sending emails, making calls, Praying something comes through. That kind of uncertainty is stressful on a level that is hard to describe, especially if you have bills to pay, rent due, a family to support, or other financial commitments. It is hard to plan for the future when you don't know what your next paycheck looks like. And let us be real. Most of us need some level of predictability in our lives, especially in our 20s when we're still figuring things out, building our careers, and trying to establish some kind of foundation. Now, here's the part that really gets me. People talk about freedom when they talk about entrepreneurship. It is the #1 selling point, but in the beginning at least, you have less freedom, not more. You are grinding for less money, less stability, and more hours. You are tied to your business 24/7. You can just take a vacation because there is no one to run things. You can call in sick. You can take a mental health day. The freedom comes later if you make it through the grind. But until then, it is a hustle that takes everything from you, and a lot of people don't make it to that later stage. I definitely didn't. I learned all of this the hard way with my first business attempt. It taught me more about failure than success, but it also taught me what I actually wanted out of life. And that is why I want to talk about the benefits of a corporate job. Because I think we've been brainwashed into thinking a 9 to 5 is a trap, a cage, a sellout move. But honestly, for a lot of us, it is a launch pad. It is a tool. It is a way to build a foundation so that later, if we want to try entrepreneurship again, we're in a much better position. #1, stable income and benefits. This is huge, and I can overstate it when you have a corporate job. You know roughly what you are going to make every single month. That predictability lets you plan your life. You can budget, save, automatically invest, build an emergency fund. You can sleep at night without worrying about where your next paycheck is coming from. And the benefits are a massive deal. Health insurance, dental, vision, retirement contributions, paid time off, sick leave, parental leave. These things cost an absolute fortune if you are paying for them yourself. If you make $70,000 at a job with benefits, you probably need to make over $100,000 as a solo entrepreneur to cover the same things. That is a huge gap that most people don't think about when they dream of quitting. #2, growing your network. When you join a company, you immediately get access to a group of talented, ambitious, experienced people, your team, your department, people from other teams, leaders in the organization. You can learn from them, collaborate with them, build real relationships. I've met so many amazing people through my jobs over the years. Some of them are still close friends today. Some have become mentors, and those connections have opened doors I never would have found on my own as a solo business owner. #3, exposure to best practices. I came into my first job knowing almost nothing about professional software development. I barely knew JavaScript or React. I had no idea how development processes worked in a real company. I was fresh and naive, but because I was placed on teams with very capable engineers, I learned incredibly fast. I absorbed knowledge just by being around them. I picked up skills that would have taken me years to learn on my own, and I got paid to do it. That is a huge advantage that people overlook. #4, structured learning and growth. Every company I've worked for has invested in my development. They paid for training programs, certifications, conferences. They set aside dedicated time each week for learning new skills. They held workshops, seminars, lunch, and learns. Getting paid to learn new things is honestly one of the best deals out there. And when you are on your own, you don't have any of that. You have to figure everything out by yourself while also trying to run the business and keep the lights on. #5, separation between work and life. This one is underrated. When my workday ends, I can close my laptop and actually be done. I can spend time with my friends, work out, cook a good meal, watch a show, read a book. My brain gets to rest. When you run a business, that separation barely exists. The work follows you everywhere. Having that boundary has been crucial for my mental health and my relationships. So here's my final thought. I am not saying don't start a business. I am not trying to discourage anyone from chasing their dreams. In fact, I think about going back to entrepreneurship sometimes. I have ideas I want to explore. I am just not ready yet. And that is completely okay. What I am saying is be realistic. Know the risk going in. Understand that it is a lot of hard work with very little pay in the beginning if you can make it past that phase. Or better yet, if you can start building your business on the side while keeping your day job, the payoff can be massive. There is unlimited upside with entrepreneurship that is hard to find in a traditional job. But for me, I chose the more traditional path early in my career, and because of that, I've learned a ton, built a solid investment portfolio, saved up a real emergency fund, and met some incredible people along the way. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe one day I'll jump back into the entrepreneurial world when I am better prepared. But for now, I am grateful for the stability, the learning, and the growth that my corporate jobs have given me. It is not the flashy path, but it is the path that is working for me. So let me know what you think. Are you team job or team business? Have you tried starting something and failed? Or are you thinking about making the leap? Drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear your story. And if you made it this far, peace.